Hi there, big shout out, intrepid viewers. How are you all going? Holding up under the pressure? Look, welcome to any new viewers. Glad to have you on board. Unless, of course, you're a Trump fan, in which case you'll be very lonely on this channel. Yeah, you know what? He's considered to be a lying, lecherous, treacherous, con man bankrupt, totally unworthy of the office he's inhabiting. The office he, in fact, you could argue, stole with the help of the Electoral College in Russia. So if you're a Trump fan, not for you. I'm sure you've got right-wing shock jocks who'll tell you exactly what you want to hear. But for the rest of us in the real world, we're going to take a quick look, part 2 of the series on Trump and the stock market. The first one covered from now till the end of 2019. And now we're going to have a look at the beginning of 2020. Oh, it's a big year, it's a big year. Through to June. My personal feelings are that Trump will cling on to the lifeboat. He will hang in as long as he can. I think he'll dribble into next year. I think he'll be vulnerable around March. By the mid-year, I just don't see him getting to the actual election. There's going to be much fluff and bluster. I think the GOP will find it hard to replace him. But this is part of why I'm doing this read. They are not going to abandon this criminal until they start losing money, until their voters start losing money, until the stock market goes downhill. It's all about money. There is not a moral fibre to be seen on the GOP landscape. It's only about the filthy lucre. So let's have a look at the money, will we? So let's have a look. This is about the stock market, January to June 2020. Remember in the last video and before that, wobbles here and there like we had this week, bit bigger wobbles in the fall, particularly October, but next year. Look, you'd be thinking about putting those chips in the mattress, wouldn't you really? So, next year. Trump, of course, is still threatening tariffs to China. He still has the hide to go to his own rallies and say, we can manufacture this stuff here, meaning America, which, of course, warms the hearts of old manufacturing communities. And he's lying to them because it can't happen and it won't happen. You know, and that's true throughout the world. Australian manufacturing is not going to come back. UK manufacturing is not going to come back. And that happened in the 80s, thanks Reagan, thanks Thatcher, thanks to John Howard in our case. These right-wing presidents and prime ministers who decided globalization was the way forward for capitalists, and so they went with it. Cheap labour, how good was it? You get really cheap labour, bordering on slave labour, no unions, can produce it there. What happened was people lost their jobs in first world countries. The problem now, 40 years on, is we've got used to cheap Chinese goods. So if a t-shirt is made in Australia or the US or anything else, it's going to cost $35. It's going to cost $40 because we can't compete with non-unionised labour in other countries. Anyway, the tariffs. He decides to take on the Chinese economy. While Ivanka has managed to secure, mysteriously, she's managed to secure trade access across China that people struggled for decades to try and get an inch of it. She got it. Why did she get that? Well, that would be because Wendy Deng is the godmother of her children. Okay, so back to the stock market, Lena. Do not digress. I'll try not to. The stock market 2020. I'm using the traditional Rider-Waite here and doing a Celtic cross. Yes, Fool's Gold bang in the center. Very tricky business. All right. Peekaboo. Ace of Pentacles. The new year, new opportunities to make money, move money, secure money, trade with money, bully with money, anything to do with money. It's a big, powerful ace. Hand of God. Is it the hand of Trump or is it the hand of Xi? Don't forget too, viewers, first digression since I promised I wouldn't. NAFTA. Wanted to get rid of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, so bailed out. Everyone moved on without him. NAFTA. America can't function without NAFTA. So let's pretend it's going to change. We'll give it a different name. No one can remember or pronounce or have anything to do with anything. We won't really change anything, but we'll call it this different thing. Really, Donald? Out of the deal? Viewers, did you see that the biographer, who was the writer for Art of the Deal, because Donald Trump can't speak a sentence or write a sentence, has said he's happy for the work to be classified as fiction. I love that. He had to twist it and mould it and disguise the truth to such an extent and lie outright. He's perfectly happy for it to be called fiction. I love him. Is it Tony Schwartz? Tony Schwartz is ringing a bell, or is that an old boyfriend of mine? Oh, don't go there, viewers. Anyway, he's good. He keeps coming up saying Trump's incapable of making these sort of decisions. Trump's incapable of understanding these issues. I've been at very close quarters with this man for months on end, and I'm here to tell you he's a card-carrying idiot. So I like this guy. All right, back to the stock market. Pentacles, also known as Fool's Gold. Behind it, the abundance. This is the good run the economy's had. Okay, this reading starting in 2020 had a good run. Prosperity, there's a lusciousness to the Empress in the terms of a good economy. I talk often on this channel, and we talk in the forum, about the illusion of what is a good economy, because somehow we're all living in these good economies, and yet homelessness is unprecedented. People are struggling to make ends meet. More children are being brought up in poverty than ever before. Young people can't leave home. Apart from that, it's a really good economy. So the Empress represents what we used to call the big end of town, the prosperity that is held by the top 10%. What is their challenge? The Fool. Now, I shouldn't dismiss the Fool as just being a foolish indicator, someone walking off a cliff, not looking. But you know what? I will, because the more sophisticated and nuanced meanings of the Fool don't apply here. They are not listening, they are not looking, they are walking off a cliff. That's exactly what they are doing. This is destined. Dear viewers, we also talk often about what is the role of this. America in transition. You are living history. It's really important to stay with it, to change what America becomes. It can either slide into a dreary autocracy, it can slide into a repressive state, or it can bloom again. It needs ideas, it needs freshness, and it needs, sure as hell needs, re-evaluation of these myths that have been told to the American public for the last 30 to 40 years. It's like clinging on to Happy Days meets the Kardashians, when in fact the real world is very, very different. Yet another digression, viewers. When Roseanne Barr screwed up royally and her show came on and went, gaga, what was talked about was the profiles of the soapies and the regular shows. We know everyone's changed their television habits. Young people can live their whole lives without watching television, I'm sure. But what was really important about the original Roseanne was it caught that working class struggle, but with humour and with love and with affection. No other shows do that. I mean, even Will and Grace that broke ground with the gay issues, they were all really affluent except Jack, and that was a joke, and his rich friends looked after him. So other programs are all about exhibiting wealth and everything being fine and all of that. And it's true. Tell me, please give me feedback. Are there other series or programs or movies that really capture that working class experience, let alone the genuine middle class experience? Okay, we're not talking skiing holidays in Aspen. We're just talking a simple sort of lifestyle that used to be available that's dwindling and disappearing. Okay, stop digressing, Lena. Now, it's fated. It is fated. Now, having said that, the issue is fated. The result is not destined, because the result depends on you guys. That's why we as readers are constantly struggling with getting to the end game of when is Trump going to go, what's going to happen. Because should Americans choose to actually exercise a democracy, it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. Really turn up in numbers, having spent the next 18 months really making sure your state has got its act together, vote him out. End of the nightmare. But the ball is in the court of Americans. People have to be outraged. And I can see why Nancy Pelosi's holding back. I know. I also feel the frustration of those of you who say, what more does he have to do to be impeached, because he has transgressed all the norms. But I can see her hesitation. You have to take the people with you, or it just becomes a long, boring thing in their face. You have to have the people with you. So it's come, this cycle is here. It's really important to be part of the change. But in terms of the stock market, they've played the wheel. Look at it as a roulette wheel. They've played the wheel to the max. They never show caution, you know, for any length of time. So the old guard who is getting them to just hang on now will be sort of eliminated. They will be foolish, and the roulette wheel will turn. Okay, deeper influences that still have impact now. Interesting concept. Oh, compromise, yes. Compromise, but also giving pennies to the poor. In other words, tell people they've still got a job, and that their teachers might get a pay rise in 2056. Just give the people little bits, will you? You know, just to keep them happy. And please say thank you. All right. I'm being sarcastic, but nonetheless, it's like the very wealthy. This is trickle-down economics in action. This is trickle-down. I also want to say, in fairness, I know a very mixed range of people, a really mixed demographic, from people living in cars to those who are very wealthy and everything in between. Now, there's nothing wrong with privilege as such, because it should bring with it, if people are well brought up with privilege, an understanding that you have been very lucky and that you owe society something to give back that's generous. And that can be a scholarship program, it can be a renal dialysis machine, it can be an entire museum. And American philanthropy has a very deep tradition of this. But what's interesting, whereas the old money and those with the heart, like Oprah Winfrey, you know, supporting education for single mothers in the projects, but also in Africa, there are examples Roger Federer also gives to early childhood programs in South Africa. He has a South African mother, by the way. Rafael Nadal supports children in poverty in sports programs. It's just so good to see. What I get shocked and appalled by are those celebs who do nothing and just hold on to it, let alone the Trumps who start charities and just spend the money. Okay, sorry. So, trickle-down economics is what was behind it. On top of this reading, the general sky, the overarching view, the Page of Pentacles. This is where America as a young country, it's really obvious to see. America and American politicians are behaving like teenagers, sulky young people. I'm not going to talk to you. You've told me to do this and I'm not going to do it. No. This juvenile, inane cul-de-sac of thinking, this bolshiness, this boring, self-obsessed aspect to what is happening, the lack of leadership in America. This is about the stock market, therefore it's pentacles. So it's this useful approach to money. There'll always be more. That's great. I'll just have another 4 lines of Coke and it won't matter. Awesome. Okay, so that's over it. Is this not looking at history, not looking at financial cycles, not looking at economic developments and evolution. No, money. Okay. Now, the challenges to that are interesting. Ooh. Okay. Commerce and business internationally. This is actually deteriorating under Trump's regime. This is the figure waiting for the ship to come in, but in fact I would suggest the ships are going the other way. They're going to other places, and the same's happening for the UK. They sold the population, or half the population, on the idea that, well, you leave the EU, we're just the UK again, we're just England again, we'll make our own deals with everyone. Sound familiar? Well, they've lost an eighth of the economy just in the last month. An eighth of the economy. When I say the last month, it happened over a much longer period than that, but the money actually left in the last month. So, international trade, where America's beginning to look more and more like a kleptomaniac on speed. And it's not impressing other countries. And just like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was his opening act, people are looking other places. This is not good. It's not always a negative card. It's not good in this context. Well, you think that'd be all right, the lovers. Oh! Now, Trump has said he's having a love affair. Was it with Xi or was it with the Japanese Prime Minister? I can't remember one of them. Probably all of them. Who knows? But this is also about deals. But the tension I'm seeing, because this is the first half of 2020, here's the problem. This is lovers making deals with this slightly demented angel. If you look here, the angel has the wings of protection. I call this the Trump angel in my early readings, funnily enough. But the angel also comes bearing storm clouds. Storm clouds over these deals. It's not looking good. The lovers, i.e. the partners, we're talking trade partners, but we're also talking the relationship between financial institutions and the people who use them and so forth. All the connections, the mountain between. All right, what should they be looking out for on the horizon? Have we done enough? No, we haven't. Bad luck. Please, viewers, really get good, sound, no-nonsense advice if you have any money to protect. Look after your financial coffers. Save what you can. Literally save what you can. This is the harvest card. Have I got enough money? No, I haven't. This is speaking nationally. Has America got enough money to survive the Trump's presidency? And the answer is no, it hasn't. Has the stock market actually got enough because it no longer trades in real money? That should scare us all. So we're talking symbolically if we're talking about the stock market. Has it got enough security to back up what's going on? And the answer is no. The answer is no. No. The atmosphere, one of strength. This is, I will interpret this positively. It's a huge economy, and it still has a threat, even though I was saying people are becoming disenchanted and going away. That's true. But also, because it's such a huge economy, people would rather do business in the American market than not do business in the American market if they can. This is the very problem Trump has created with China, because people want to trade with China. And people don't want to pay $40 for an umbrella and $50 for a t-shirt and $4,000 for a washing machine. So this is a two-way street. This is the two-edged sword. They have got the strength that it's the last bargaining trip, and it's strong enough to just hold together. In other words, not a financial meltdown, more likely a recession, but a significant recession destined to happen. How are people going to react, or how is the stock market going to react? Oh, but it was so good. It was much better in the old days. Oh, now the price of cocaine's gone up. Oh, no. This is a useless emotion that is inadequate to the crisis that is pending. This is the nostalgia card. Why didn't we listen to those old guys who told us the cycle was up? Boom, loss, boom. Okay, so we'll go a couple more out. I'm going to adopt the term again from Tarot's Apprentice. I want to do a big shout out, of course, to my mate Dave. Hopefully we're getting together soon at Moonride. Mary Ann's doing a fantastic job on Revealing Light. Big shout out to Linda G, Kirsten, Soul Light Hypnotherapy. I would kill for your 12-chair deck, by the way, if you hear this message. So many good readers out there. Okay, so I'm going to steal this from Tarot's Apprentice, which is a word of warning and a word of solace. So this is for 2020. Oh, 2020. Word of warning. Beware of being ripped off. Well, it will not come as a surprise to many. The rip-off. Interestingly, over these recent months, I see this card more and more. Look at this figure. It's actually very Russian. There's a sort of Cossack hat and boots going on. Russia's economy is another mystery of the universe. The Russian economy is this big, and yet the persona is huge. But it's nonetheless getting away with what you can get away with, and it's the rip-off card. That's your warning. Beware of being ripped off. So, word of solace. New leader coming. New leader coming. I'm so pleased. I am so pleased. So it's a matter of writing all this out. And if we put that whole story together, new leader coming. Because as we know, it's not really enough to get rid of Trump. It's this whole GOP. So the longer he's in, the more they are going to be foul their nests and their reputations more permanently. Eventually, they will start to diminish, both numerically and also in terms of influence. But there's a way to go, and the way to go is what's uncomfortable. Right. So just looking at a bit of history for a moment, it's fascinating to me as a sociologist who also looks at history. When there's great historical changes, it's usually driven by very few people. The women's suffragette movement, the women's right to vote. There was a handful of women in New York, a handful of women in Paris, a handful. I'm talking 5 here, 6 there, 20 there, tiny. And they changed the world. When it comes about, everyone, of course, said, of course women should vote. It was the same with second wave feminism. It was a very small number of women who were on the barricades fighting issue by issue when you couldn't get divorced from your violent husband in Australia because there was no divorce. Every issue had to be fought for one by one by one by a very small number of people. It's the same in so many cases. And now it's the same in the US, but you are not alone. It's not just a few of you. There's a few of you on this channel, but there's millions of you. So please find each other, get the momentum, because if you are active, it makes you feel so much better. You don't feel like a victim anymore. You've got a reason for getting up in the morning and going out there and doing your thing, but then also leave it behind, recover, have a margarita on your auntie, chin chin, relax, enjoy, look at the bigger picture. Do both those things. Love you guys so much. Okay, bye for now.